Let's see. Always takes a little time. Okay, cool. Counting down. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. That I would be back right away with another live stream. And here we are, our final live stream of the night for the NFL Playoff Preview, set to come out at the start of the NFL playoffs in January, which feels so weird because especially with the addition of a new week and addition of another team in the playoff field, things get a little bit crazier and get a little more stacked. But here to talk with me about the Baltimore Ravens is longtime Ravens fan Mike Brittingham. He's been on the show before. If you guys have seen previous episode called Diamonds and Rings, where we talk a little bit of softball and wrestling as well. Mike, I really am glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. First thing I always do, I ask people this. How did you become a fan of the Ravens and what drew them to you instantly?
When I was younger, I was always a Baltimore Orioles fan. So the minute that Baltimore ended up getting a football team in my age range at that time, I became an instant fan from then on. Give me another hometown team to root for.
Definitely. And I know that when you heard the news that, like you said, you mentioned that, but hearing that Cleveland was making it, the Browns were coming to Baltimore, was it one of those things where you had to pinch yourself to think, is this real? Because there have been so many times that Baltimore was said, oh, they're the favorite to get an expansion team, then Carolina and Jacksonville get a team, or somewhere else, or the Rams end up staying in LA, or the Buccaneers end up staying in Tampa Bay and things like that.
Yeah, it was really neat. I remember hearing about it on the news, and my whole family was talking about it, and it was really cool. Brought everybody together.
Definitely. Going back to your memories as a Ravens fan, 2 Super Bowls to count from, if it's even that, what is the most memorable moment as a Ravens fan?
Actually, I went to both Super Bowl, parades, and I remember going to the very first one, and I thought it was like the coolest thing I ever watched. And I seen Tony Saragusa on top of the hood of a car, driving through downtown Baltimore, and I was dying because that dude is huge. Yeah, I thought that was really neat.
How did that differ from the second parade? Because I know that had to be interesting. Yes, like years later, where it's like, okay, we're back on top of the mountain.
It was really cool. I got closer in the second parade. I actually reached out and almost got a high five from Ray Rice. But didn't end up happening. But it was actually neat. It was fun. It was different area, different feel. It was more, I guess, I don't want to say it's shocking that we won it that year, but it was definitely like we knew it was something special. It was nice.
Going into the season, what were the expectations? What were the expectations for you? For the Ravens, what did you feel like they could do? I know a disappointing playoff ouster against the Bills. 17-3. The offense didn't show up, especially after a huge win against Tennessee and getting that burden off your back.
Going into the season, I had actually extremely high hopes. I thought we were clearly one of the AFC favorites, and then people just started to drop like flies with injuries, and we end up having, I think it's like at least 15 on injury reserves done for the year. And then we lost our whole running back core within like a week or two. And I thought at that point, I was like, oh no, this might not be good.
And it looks like so far they've been able to weather the storm. I know you lose
Mm-hmm.
guys like Gus Edwards and you lose all those other
Mm-hmm.
guys. And like you said, not even before the season started, they were
Right.
already a mass unit. But to
Mm-hmm.
you, was there a particular moment that you felt, okay, regardless of the situation with the running backs, we're going to the playoffs?
Mm, I think whenever you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, you know that you got something unique. For how many years to come, that's to be determined. But I didn't. I don't know. I just don't worry. I don't know how to explain it. You kind of have a calm feeling when he's your quarterback and he's under center, and everything seems to be working well, and you work as a good unit. John Harbaugh's a great coach. Um, he catches a lot of flack, but I still think he's one of the best coaches in football.
Which is even more amazing when you think about it. There's only been, to my knowledge, 3 coaches in
Mm,
Ravens history: Ted Marchibroda, and then Brian Billick, and
right.
then
John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh. Because I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
think, was there an interim in between? No, it's just those
Mm-hmm.
3, and all those guys were long term coaches. I mean, Marchibroda's the shortest term, and that was maybe 3 years coming, from the inaugural year till Billick got hired.
Right, right. Yeah, it's been a nice, like, he's just a staple of Baltimore right now. And I feel like he makes the right decisions at the right time. I mean, we might not all agree, but it's the reason he gets paid what he does, and he's one of the best at it.
Mhm. Was there a particular point in the season you were worried about how Baltimore would fare, especially in some of the games of the season? Was the Cincinnati game something that alarmed you? Was it any other particular game? Was it the Detroit game
No,
where it took the Tucker field goal?
no, it was definitely the Cincinnati game where we got destroyed on both ends of the ball, and it was just one of those things where I thought I was hoping the wheels didn't fall off, and luckily it didn't so far. Knock on wood. But that was definitely the biggest game where I took a step back and was like, "Uh oh, this might not be good."
I know. Looking at the AFC playoffs now, 7
Mm-hmm.
teams get in as opposed to the
Mm-hmm.
6. That
Mm-hmm.
means number 1 seed is the most important seed, not 1 and 2,
Right.
but one. The road to the
Mm-hmm.
AFC Championship or through the Super Bowl runs through whoever's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the playoffs, who, as a Ravens fan, do you feel like the Ravens match up the best with in the AFC?
Against, I'm going to say, if we have to play them again, I would like to play it. I know I don't want to play anybody, obviously, but I think we match up best against Indianapolis. And I know that sounds crazy with Jonathan Taylor as their running back, um, but I feel like we can hold them to one-dimensional football if we play them again, and I don't think the score will be as close as it was.
Who who in the AFC scares you? Is it Kansas City? Is it New England now that all of a sudden they've found
Mm,
life? Is it Tennessee even without Derrick
mm,
Henry? Or is it somebody else we haven't mentioned? Is it Cincinnati? Is it the Browns? Could it be Pittsburgh?
mm,
Could it be someone
mm,
out of the West
mm,
that we haven't talked about, like the
mm,
Raiders or the
mm.
Chargers?
I tell you what worries me the most, and I know this is probably as a football fan, you kind of get that feeling. Like last year we played Buffalo. I think Buffalo, with all their weapons in the wide receiving core, kind of scare us the most. But for me, if I'm gonna pick anybody, it's gonna be New England right now because they are getting hot at the right time.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I had always
Mm,
talked with someone before, just talking about,
mm,
you look back at Belichick. Belichick basically, and some people won't agree. Maybe some people
mm,
might forget. He set the foundation for 2 franchises. When he was
mm,
in Cleveland before the move, he basically his draft board had Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden on there,
mm.
and and
Right.
and and basically Ozzie Newsome is still here, and then all his sergeants and everybody, Eric DaCosta, all those guys learned from Ozzie Newsome, who learned from Bill Belichick. So it's interesting enough that basically when you look and you compare the Patriots and you compare Baltimore, that there are a lot of similarities how their fundamentals are foundation wise. Maybe certain things like how they deal with personnel are different and the whole mentality, but it seems like they're like very cut from the same cloth.
They are, and I think that's something to be said about Bill Belichick. There's something to be said about the Ravens. Something to be said about New England. I think Bill Belichick. I know he also gets a lot of flack, but I think he's probably one of the best coaches in football. He just has that football mind that you want every coach to have, and he sees things that we don't see, as regular people, even as football people. He's just excellent at what he does, and it's not a bad thing to mimic that. That's for sure.
And one more thing before we go to our prediction. Justin Tucker has really come up clutch several times this season. I know some people say the day you don't have Tucker and Lamar Jackson, Baltimore's in trouble. But, I mean, I know it seems like everybody just say, oh, he's just a kicker, or he's special teams, because that tends to get overlooked a lot. But to you, how important has Justin Tucker been, especially consistency, where a lot of teams are constantly looking for a kicker and who's good, not only just week in and week out, but year in and year out?
He is the backbone of the Ravens. I feel like Lamar is the leader, and then you have the backbone, which is Justin Tucker, and I'm a Wink Martindale fan, so I think he is huge for the Ravens as well. But it is fantastic to have a leader like Lamar and a backbone like Tucker, and it's true. The day that the Ravens go without one or both is a sad day for sure.
Do you think Tucker is Hall of Fame caliber? I know it's weird because kickers, like I said, kickers and punters don't get the love that position players do.
Not even a question. First ballot Hall of Famer, no question.
As we start going to the prediction for the Super Bowl, who do you have coming out of the AFC? Who do you have coming out of the NFC? Who wins, and what is the final score?
Okay, I'm going with, out of the AFC, I'm always going to say the Ravens. It's just going to be what I say. So I'm going to say the Ravens, and I'm actually going to say the Green Bay Packers. I know that's a matchup coming up. They flex that time to 4:30, I think, to make sure everybody can watch that next coming week. I think it's 2 weeks from now. I believe it's 2 weeks from now. I have Ravens out of the AFC, I have Green Bay out of the NFC, and I got 34-17. As bad as it sounds and as much as it hurts, Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I thought you were going to make it a field goal game and Tucker hits the winner.
No. If I'm a betting man, right now, Aaron Rodgers has something to prove, and I think he's going to end up proving it. And I hope I'm wrong. To be honest with you, I really want to be wrong. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Green Bay.
And Mike, as we start to wrap this up, I first of all want to say thank you for being on here. Before we go into everything else, do you have any shout outs you want to give to anybody who's watching or anything like that, or who will hear this episode as it goes along? And do you have anything you want to promote as well? How can people reach out to you and talk Ravens football?
And you can DM me anytime about any kind of Ravens, any kind of questions like that. I have nobody I want to really give a shout out to, but I'd like to give a shout out to just everybody. Tell them happy holidays. I hope everybody's doing well, and keep on doing good.
All right, everybody who's been watching, I really appreciate you guys sticking in for the long haul. 3 interviews, and of course, plenty more to go as we try to rack up all the teams who are in contention for the playoffs in both the NFC and the AFC. And for everybody who's been watching, I want to thank my guest, Mike Brittingham, taking time out of your schedule again. And what we'll do is we'll continue this conversation off air in the studio. But for everybody who's been watching, thank you guys. Keep an eye out on the Facebook and social media about upcoming live streams. We got plenty more to go. We're trying to get Pittsburgh. We're trying to get Cleveland. We're trying to get plenty of other teams lined up and scheduled up. Raiders fans, I know you're out there, so let me know if you got that too. But for everybody who's been watching, I am Earl Holland, and for my guest Mike Brittingham, we will see you guys soon. Thank you guys so much.